Thank you, Mrs. Ambani. It is now my pleasure to invite our graduating head boy and head girl, Sansit Jain and Devika Halalka, to share with us their memories of their time at our school.
A good evening to our respected chairperson, Srimati Neeta Ambani. It is because of your vision to open this absolutely amazing school that each one of us here today have been encouraged to dare to dream and empowered to live the dream. And also a good evening to our esteemed chief guest, Shri K.V. Kamath, who has excelled by successfully transforming his dreams into reality. We feel very privileged to have you here with us today. And to our heads, teachers, proud parents and family members, and of course, to the batch of 2014, good evening. This is it. Our last few hours as official students of Dhirubhai Ambani International School. A part of me is excited, eager to go to university and step into the real world. And yet, another larger part of me is nervous about what is to come. After all, definitely it will be difficult waking up every morning and realizing that I won't be seeing my classmates anymore. No more listening to Devansh, Subrat and Vishwang's discussion on last night's gym workout. No more voting to Shaurya, Ansha and Chauhan's pranks to play on last week of school. And no more chilling in the social area or bonding with friends or bros. And lastly, and yes, it would certainly be a lie to say that all of us are the same. I guess our batch of 2014 has students with maximum varying passions and interests. Be it Trisha's robotics, Tavi's dance moves, Taro's intellectual codes, Madhav's squash, Sanket's DJing, and the list can go on and on. But what makes us so special and unique is that despite these diverse passions, when it has to matter, we all stand united. Be it organizing the most successful CASFET or Deman to introducing the most number of inter-house events our school has ever seen. Graduating is definitely a huge step forward. We will have to make our own decisions from now on. And yes, as exciting and liberating as this may seem, it is going to be difficult. There will be no Chotu Aditi or Mala Didi Tanu to keep our rooms clean. But I want you all to know that this independence will come with a huge responsibility. And the choices you make will define who you will become. I'm not saying don't have fun. Just be careful. Make choices that you can reflect on and be proud of. Yet, as you look ahead into the future, don't forget the lessons of the past. Always. Always remember the people who have inspired you. Our honored chairperson, Mrs. Ambani, for giving us the opportunity to study at DAIS. The heads, Mr. Keegan and Mr. Basu, for teaching us the importance of discipline, be it telling us to reach school on time or doing the impossible task of getting even Purav to shave his beard. Mrs. Merzine and Ms. Bajaj, and to all our teachers who have always given us something insightful to think about and have made learning so very creative. Kava sir, I would be remiss if I let this day go without saying a very special thanks to you. Besides teaching me how to toss people over my shoulders or trying to instill a love for your opera singing, you have always supported me. And finally, our beloved families, our parents, our siblings, our grandparents. You stayed up all night making us coffee and food. You made WhatsApp groups and protested about difficult math papers when no one else had the guts to. Although you may have limited our apparent social life by restricting our outings or confiscating the PlayStations in an attempt to raise the bar graphs that were shown to you every meeting, we would have to say that every achievement, every university admission, none of it would have been possible without you. To my classmates, We've been through it all. The village trip to Matharan, exchange trips to France and Spain, Thailand, Singapore, round square trips to Jordan and South Africa, the late night partying in Goa, to choosing cookery for free food and Prakriti for free time. And contrary to popular belief, the studying. Yes, parents, we did actually study. I know we have all had those moments of absurdity, like in Waiting for Godot, when we begin to question the purpose of life. We see our college friends partying every night and we say to ourselves, why did I take the IB? Why did I take Math HL? Or those moments when things just don't go the way we want it to and we tear apart. Those fights we have with our best friends, the relationship drama, stress about predicted grades or SAT scores, getting rejection letters from universities and feeling like our life is over. But it is times like these when we realize the true value of our friends, teachers, and family and their infinite support. Life is short, so don't settle for the ordinary. Push yourselves and make your dreams come true. As a famous painter, Van Gogh once said, "What would life be if we had no courage to attempt anything?" So don't be scared to try something new. Don't let your dreams and ambitions be limited by what others may think. Never be scared to fail. It's okay to make mistakes. So, let's learn from our mistakes. Let's appreciate everything we've taken for granted. Let's be confident. Let's be ourselves. Batch of 2014, let's take this step forward. Thank you.
Good evening, respected Chairperson Tinita Ambani, esteemed Chief Guest Shri K.V. Kamath, heads, teachers, parents, friends and family, and to my fellow members of the class of 2014. The life equation we've always been presented with has been very simple. School equals childhood, what comes after school equals adulthood. But as I stand here, I find myself questioning, asking, have we really become adults today? Let's recount a few facts we all know. In India, one can drive and vote at 18, and depending on one's gender, one can get married at 18 or at 21. These cover a large part of what it means to be that fantastical creature we both aspired to and feared, the adult. You know, they talk a lot about having the courage to make decisions about things that affect our daily lives. But elsewhere, the ages to gain access to the same institutions differ. Does that mean that we're any less prepared to be the conventional adult? At some point, one has to say just this: who knows? Nobody can define or pinpoint that exact moment in their lives when they became adults or when they will become adults. So we come back to the original question then. Where does that leave us? The simple answer is, I don't know. We're straddling the worlds of childhood and adulthood, and I don't know what to call this. But that isn't the honest answer. The honest answer is that I don't want to know. We have so much going for us. We're full of energy, we're curious, we're open-minded, and fortunately, we are and will be afforded opportunities to do various things, opportunities that everyone does not get. It is uncertainty we're stuck in right now, but it's this positive, creative, dynamic space. And for the very first time in our lives, we are going to be in control. And that, for me, makes this the most exciting I've known life to be. But that being said, I wasn't always this excited about this part of my life. The truth is that the flip side of being able to experience a plethora of new beginnings is that we're leaving behind a comfort zone of sorts that we've created for ourselves here. Part of that sense of homeliness and comfort that we'll always associate India with has materialized from what we've received from and given to this fabulous institution, our school. For most of us here, there's a hint of loss mixed in, the craziness of all of it. Some of us came here in the 2nd grade. Some of us, like I, came in the 8th, and some others still came in the 11th. In my 5 years at DAIS, I witnessed my fair share of criticizing the school and most people in it. But I truly believe that that can only be possible when you recognize that whatever might happen and how much ever some things might irritate you, at the end of the day, the school has become a part of us. It's become a part of you. Today is the day to recognize how truly deficient we'd be if we hadn't come to DAIS at all. On that, just to cover some of what we've achieved in the past 2 years itself, we've survived snake attacks in Mathiran. We've spent hours in LT7, in LR4D, in our tutor rooms, planning massive events like the CASFET, like Dayman, like the council events. We've sat terrified and yet inspired in math HR classes. We've given 4 exams in one day and still come out of those long days kicking. And how? We've sent representatives to Canada and to Ladakh on round square service trips, but we've also made our own indelible mark closer to home at Kumbargarh and at Hasachipatti. We've loved and we've lost. We've laughed and we've cried. We've befriended and we've fought. And nobody can take these experiences away from us. We've been pushed again and again to not be the best in a group, but the best we've ever been, the most unique we've ever been, the most original we've ever been. And that takeaway is special, more so because nobody, no other place, no other institution, no other home could have given us this. On that note, I must thank our esteemed chairperson, Srimati Neeta Ambani. Ma'am, your astute vision has provided us with an alma mater we couldn't be more proud to be associated with. To our heads, I must thank you for your inputs have been invaluable in our growth story, and I can't measure how valuable they've been. To our teachers, I believe it is to you that we owe immense gratitude. For your lessons often extended beyond the walls of the classroom and of the school, really. And on that note, I must remember our most beloved head of the science department, Mrs. Manjot Mitra, who is unfortunately no longer with us today. Wherever we go, and whatever we do from here on, we will have her in our minds and in our hearts, living life with the same passion and excitement that she always embodied. I must also make a special mention of the unsung heroes of our schooling life, the support staff here at school. And finally, to our parents, our beloved parents, I'd just like to inform you that you are our life force. You are both the inspiration and the aspiration. I'd like to end with a simple observation. As the class of 2014, we've been through a lot, the IB being the least of it. Despite the disagreements and despite the occasional drama, we made a number of friends, most of whom we hope will stick around with us forever. So when I was listening to the song What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong, and I heard the line, I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I couldn't help but feel that nothing describes my class better. Thank you.
Thank you, Devika and Sanchit. Fihan Samat, this year's elected class speaker, will now address us on behalf of the graduating class.
Good evening, Chairperson Srimati Neeta Ambani, Chief Guest Shri K.V. Kamath, heads, teachers, parents, and of course to the class of 2014, congratulations. I've been given 5 minutes to make a speech. 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, I'm supposed to encapsulate the essence of the years we spent at school. Some people have spent 10 years, I spent 5. But even for 2, it seems like quite an unfair amount of time to do justice to our school days. But I'm going to try and highlight the most memorable moments we shared to understand what sets us as a class apart. I'm supposed to highlight everything from Hia's selfies and Leah's cupcakes, Ria's blinding pink possessions, to Vishwang's "I've slept for 2 hours before the psych exam" phase. From Krishnamurthy's Ezra obsession to Alex yelling West Side at his discretion. From Mr. Sriraman's Kathakali dance to Nasta making the lamest jokes at every single chance. How am I to summarize it all? From Nikita's questionable appetite to Bob trying desperately to finish his compai every single night. From talking to Shefali in Hindi and calling her Firang to losing Ahan at Thaiman, I'm going to try my best to relieve it all. 4 minutes. 4. The number of days we spent at Goa. It's interesting how 3 simple letters can bring on a whole new world of meaning. To some it was about the partying, to some it was walking along the beach, to others it was the food, amongst other things. And also to me, it was a reflection of our compassion. We might have gone our own separate ways during the day, but when it came to night, I distinctly remember people standing at the entrance, counting the number of people who've walked in, checking off names from the list to make sure no one was missing. It seemed like there was this unspoken sense of brotherhood that somehow took over. And we each knew that each of us was responsible for the other. 3 minutes. 3. The number of options on each simple yes-no poll on our class's Facebook group. So if the question was, is Thursday a holiday? The options were yes, no, Alok. And regardless of what the question was, you always know which one had the most votes. We never got anything done. Our class was quite a unique mix of people. We've had people who run NGOs, Jane Austen book clubs, participants for international robotics competitions, people who've built their own electric guitars, professional singers, guitarists, practicing DJs, and then there's Ansheh. We've had people from other countries like Kenya, and even more exotic places like Chembur and Dadar. Maybe our most impressive feat was that we managed to form such strong bonds even though we were so different. At this point, I'm not going to quote a Nobel laureate or a 19th century philosopher or a French poet on drugs. I'm going to use an excerpt from my biology textbook. Yes, Mr. Gata, you heard that right. It says, multicellular organisms are said to show emergent properties. This means that the whole organism is more than the sum of its parts because of the complex interactions between cells. 2 minutes. 2, the number of homes we all had. The first was a place that we shared innumerable moments in, our lovely school DAIS, and I'd like to thank you, Ms. Ambani, for making everything, including this graduation, possible. The second was a place equally close to our hearts, where we spent just as much time as we did in school. Tryst. The phrase you and your best friend repeated incessantly to allow the liftman to squeeze yourselves into the lift. And every time he picked up the phone and pretended to call Mr. Basu, we knew there was this sense of relief because we knew he was going to take us. 1 minute. 1. The number of possible treatments to bruises, cuts, nausea, headaches, and stomach cramps. Really spray. You already know. 1. The number of posts by Ravi Rampal it took to drop whatever you're doing and sit on Facebook for the next 2 hours. 1 class of 2014. But then there are things that are too large to count. Like the number of instruments that Karpe can play. The number of shahs and mettas in our class. The number of times Taro has blamed Namit for everything wrong in his life. Then there are some things that you can't even quantify. Like the awe in our eyes when Shaurya was finally on time for anything. On a more serious note, like the role that our teachers played in our lives. The things we learned that would be tested in real life, not in exam paper. So thank you, Ms. DAIS, for teaching me that if I ever truly want to be non-conformist, I should be living in a cottage somewhere, wearing a sack. I will remember that, I promise. You see, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to think about moments that would last forever, that defined our time here at DAIS. But it's ironic that the most memorable moments were the ones that just happened. So yes, if you ask me what sets the class of 2014 apart, I'd say it's something beyond a well-timed prank, like a classroom full of stickies. That wasn't us, by the way. It was something beyond reason and logic. And frankly, I don't want to sit down and champion one of those moments as the defining moment of our time here at school because it's something you can't subject to analysis, like magic. Which reminds me, 0. The moments at this school that I regret, 0. Thank you.
Thank you, Vihan. We now have a special treat, as we're about to be entertained by one of our graduating class, Alia Qureshi, who will be singing One Moment in Time.
Day I live, I long to be a day to give the best of me, and I'm only one, but not alone. My finest day is yet unknown, and I broke my heart for every day to taste the sweet. I face the pain, I rise and fall, yet through it all, this much remains. I want one moment in time when I'm more than I thought I could be, when all of my dreams are a heart
Thank you. Dear Mrs. Ambani, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to introduce our chief guest for this evening's ceremony, Sri K.V. Kamath. A mechanical engineer by training who did his management studies at the Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, Sri Kamath is currently chairman of ICICI Bank and lead independent director of Infosys. He is also on the board of Schlumberger and chairman of the board of governors of the Indian Institute of Management, Indore. A member of the board of governors of Pandit Deen Dayal Petroleum University and a former president of the Confederation of Indian Industry. His outstanding career has been marked with his being awarded the Padma Bhushan in 2008 and by his being recognized as Businessman of the Year, Business Leader of the Year, and Asian Business Leader of the Year by Forbes Asia, the Economic Times, and CNBC, respectively. Sir, the podium is yours.
Good evening. Dear Nita, teachers of this great school, parents, grandparents, the class of 2014. Congratulations to the class of 2014. I hope this will be your last big, boring lecture of your school life. There'll be a few hereafter, but I don't think they'll matter because you have the option once you're in college to maybe attend or not attend. I don't think you had that option here. Of course, I hope you will exercise the right choice as you go along and don't stray, but keep to the straight path. That was in a lighter moment. I would like to repeat. Congratulations to all of you, and let's go ahead with this boring lecture. It gives me immense pleasure to be here with all of you on what is indeed a momentous occasion in your lives. At the outset, let me compliment the management, teachers, staff, and everyone else associated with the school, this institution, for providing these graduating students with such a brilliant opportunity to grow and develop in what is, I clearly believe, a holistic, all-encompassing and illuminating environment. This is clearly reflected in the school being ranked as India's number one international school, and the stellar performance of the students in all three streams. Nita, I must confess, when I saw the performance report, for a moment, I truly thought this was the sum total of performance of all the students over the last few graduating classes. That is your 10 graduating classes. I read it again, and then I realized I was wrong. And this was the performance of this class. And this indeed is a stellar performance, not something that the school alone can be proud of, but I think all of you, individually and collectively, can be proud of. The sheer, I would say, academic brilliance that you have exhibited, the number of straight 45s as it were, and the number that are above 39, I think is difficult to beat. So I am truly intrigued when you say that the school is among the top 10 in the world, because I would expect that this school would be the first in the world. If not today, I am reasonably sure it will be in short order. And that's my dream for this school, because if you have reached 10, reaching 1 is not difficult. And I think that should be something that you should put into your own goal sheet, as it were, and it will make us all immensely proud. And indeed, the class will, I'm sure, raise a cheer when they hear that their school is the top-ranked school in the world. Clearly, this school is a benchmark for all institutions striving to impart quality, world-class education. A foundation has been laid, a solid foundation to ensure that the multidimensional growth of all students, proof of which is also there in the admission sheet that I saw. That truly is, again, a world-beating performance. The number of students that have gotten into Ivy League colleges, a number of students that have gotten into a wide range of colleges around the world, I think is very difficult to beat. to emulate or beat for any school. So my congratulations to everyone involved in this school. This institution has been successful in a very short span of time, and it distinguishes itself from other schools, because I'm sure those 10 or 9 other schools which are in the top 10 have been around for much, much longer than has DAIS. It is again a tribute to the leadership of the school, the tribute to its teachers, and indeed a tribute to the students who have graduated from its portals. And I think above all, it is truly a tribute to the memory of the late Dhirubhai Ambani. Because I'm sure wherever he is smiling, he's chuckling. And you ask this question, kya? Meaning, is there anything else that can be beaten? Because this, I think, is something that would make him truly proud. It also embodies his can-do and will-do spirit. Because that is one thing that I always saw in him, a can-do and will-do spirit. A spirit which embodies your motto here, let your dreams soar. It's basically do not fall short in your dreams, everything around dreams, and build on your dreams. So his spirit was to experiment. His spirit was to act, and to act as a change agent in what was then a business mind that was frozen in time. So when we are looking at business 40, 45 years back, it was a mind in India that was frozen. You could not think beyond the scale that you were operating in. And he believed in growing much beyond that. He believed in his dreams, and he achieved all that he did. And that too in a very short period of time, exactly as this school has done. And I would like to compliment Nita on her hard work and leadership and the team at this school for executing on her vision. She can take pride in having created an institution of excellence in India. The graduating class, I'm sure you are all really excited, standing as you are at this significant turning point in your lives. Some of you have already charted out your future, while some of you may have might have a tentative and hazy idea of what you want to do next. And there will be even some of you who don't know what they want to do next. Doesn't matter. I think the road ahead is going to be something that you will enjoy, something that you will thrive. Because you are at that cusp in history when I think everything that was in the past is changing at such rapid pace that what you want to do, you can lay out yourself. You can create the road, you can create your own opportunity. So whether you have made up your mind, whether you're in the process of making up your mind or not having made up your mind does not really matter, because change is going to be constant in your minds, and you'll have to be prepared for that change. And as I said, this is a world that you will have to constantly experiment in. A world which is changing is a world which you will have to experiment in, because there's nothing that is constant. And I'm sure the school has prepared you to ready yourself for this world where you will have to live, adapt, and strive for something different and something new. And I'm going to put some examples in front of you of the rapidity of change that is coming on us. While change gives us opportunities, we also need to have the gumption to experiment, because otherwise we're not going to succeed. We must have the guts to believe in ourselves and believe that failures are but a stepping stone to success. As you all would be reading Harry Potter series, and as Mr. Rowling once said, it is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, in which case you're failed by default. I think that's going to define your lives as you go ahead, because it's going to be an exciting life, and you will fail, you will get up, you will again fight, and you will succeed. It is exactly this attitude that I'm sure all of us, your parents, your grandparents, your teachers, would like to see in you. The willingness to experiment and the ability to learn and strengthen from such failure are the traits that define a person who will be successful in the future. You are privileged to be living in a world where opportunities abound. The established rules of success are crumbling in the face of constant innovation, and the only rule for success is that there are no rules. So the only rules for success, as I say it, are there are no rules. In a way it is good, in a way it is daunting. Look at, for example, the way you shop, the way you bank, the way you transact, the way you educate yourself. All these rules have been broken, not over the last 50 years, but in the last 5 to 10 years. And in this area, the evolution of technology and everything that is virtual, I think change is going to be the only constant. And the timelines that we look at are going to be shorter and shorter, and you will have to live within these timelines. Change was slow in the agrarian economy in the early ages, when you talked of centuries before change happened. Change hastened in the last, I would say, 100 years, and today, change is on us in the context of not tens of years, but it's not even in the context of a year or two. The change is ever present, and we'll have to live with and manage change as we go along. As from millennia to millennia, it has become from millennia to centuries, and now it's a matter of a few decades to a matter of a few years. And what has disrupted everything around us is the communication revolution. The communication revolution, the advent of the internet, has propelled change which we had never believed that we would have seen in our lifetimes happening all around us. Just look at what has happened within the mobile industry in India. 10, 12 years back, we had 4 or 5 million people connected on the mobile telephony platform. Today, you have 800 or 900 million people. And one can say that the rapidity with this change is happening. Almost everything that you could do with devices which are in your pocket, and which you will be able to use anywhere from any corner of the world. Change, coupled with technological disruptions, have democratized delivery of everything around us, be it services, books, financial services, healthcare, etc., impacting our life in very many ways. The technology industry itself is not being accepted. The technology industry also is facing change, disruptions virtually on a daily basis. If you look at the last 4 or 5 years and look at what has happened with the advent of Apple, and today when you look at it, we think it has been around for a decade or for at least tens of years. We are looking at the launch of the iPod, the launch of the iPhone, and then what has happened to the launch of the iPad. I think the whole way we today look at technology has changed. All of you, of course, are on Facebook. That, I think, is a given. And it took how many years for Facebook to reach 50 million users? It took 38 million users to reach, for radio to reach out to 50 million users. And of course, that was reached by Facebook in just 1 year. And of course, Twitter has exceeded that. It has done it in half the time. And in that time, WhatsApp has reached 500 million. And of course, I'm not even going to ask whether you are using all these, these apps available to you today, because the answer is given. But what's even more interesting is the 800 or 900 million people in India today who are connected to the net using a phone are getting to be users of these very same technologies which you are used to. And this is happening whether they are in an urban center or whether they are in a village. And I would find that this is what is going to transform everything around us as we go along. The disruptive innovation fostered by improving technology is creating new paradigms. Technology has been a harbinger for the new India, changing the way we live from the smallest city from the biggest city to the smallest village. This has affected all facets of our lives in equal measure, but nothing more than in education. If you look around at education and learning, the classroom has changed. The classroom is today a connected classroom, and what is even more interesting is that the classroom, this classroom, which is there in this school today, you could see it in a village in India. The same technology pervades there, and the student has access to the same set of, the same data, and in a way, you could say that data has been democratized as never before. Access to information has disrupted everything around us, and access to information is making I would say, the playing field level. I think that is something that you will have to look for as you go along, because you will find an environment which is even more competitive, because everything around you is getting democratized, whether it is your children in other schools, whether it is people around you in a professional sphere or in business. Things are getting democratized at a pace which we never have seen before. For an inquisitive mind, the treasure trove of the online information might just be the spark needed to set you on the path of discovery. There's a wealth of information in personal blogs, articles on popular sites, and exchanges of views through reader comments, which can throw up any amount of perspective on any subject around you. The net provides you a platform, provides a platform for an individual to not only understand things, but also come up with new ideas by triggering his or her thought process. The whole is significantly more than what you would have gotten from any single source of information. What is essential is recognizing the need to utilize this information in a useful manner. As a society, we are developed beyond the point where only a few hallowed career choices won the approval of parents and society at large. I think our generation, when you looked at our parents, we had only two choices. You either became an engineer or you became a doctor. I don't think that any one of you is in a sandbox where your choices are limited. Your choices are, there are as many choices as you can dream, and I'm sure you will pursue that choice which you truly would like and you believe you will enjoy. And I don't think your parents are going to come in your way, as indeed our parents did, in a good way. They tried to mold your choices. I do not think that molding is going to happen anymore. I would say young persons are now following their own interests, turning hobbies into careers, and successful ones at that. Technology has been an essential intermediary in this pursuit, providing the resources and opportunities in equal measure. As I mentioned previously, the pace of change we've witnessed has been accelerating. In fact, we have moved from carriages to horseless carriages. It took us a millennia, but it took us much shorter time to get from a car driven by somebody to a car which is driverless. I think in the next few years, that is also something that we will see in our lives. The incremental usage of data services on mobile phones, particularly in India, is a striking example of the pace of change. I mentioned about the 800 or 900 million phones in India, but if you look at today, people connecting to the internet using a handheld device, already crossed 200 million people, and by sometime later this year, we are looking at probably 250 million people who will be on the net using a handheld device. A remarkable thing for a country which 10 years back had hardly 5 million users using a cell phone. All of you have the requisite knowledge, skills, aptitude, intelligence, and the ability to work hard. The education that you have had in this institution will only serve to complement the same. Combined with the opportunities that our country has placed at your disposal, all of you have great privilege as well as bear a great burden. I well know that some of you will look to shores beyond, but I am sure that some of you will look at opportunities in our own country. I want you to use this opportunity in a twofold way. Your first responsibility lies towards your own self, as well as those who have worked tirelessly to help you reach where you are today. Your parents, your teachers, and of course, yourselves. Do what your heart tells you to, but whatever you do, make sure your parents and teachers can proudly lay claim to you and your actions as a reflection of themselves. Your second responsibility lies towards society in general, which has loved and nourished you each point in your life. So whatever you do, remember to give back to the society what it deserves. You must also remember that the friends that you have made here will be your friends for life. I could see from the three young leaders that spoke, your head boy, your head girl, and the class elected speaker, that indeed you have made friendships which will last forever. And I think you need to make sure that you cherish this and take this friendship forward. Support your friends in the time of need, and when they seek guidance, give it to them. And indeed, do not shy away from seeking guidance from your friends. And above all, make this friendship count and make it all worthwhile. After all, a life of worth is a life worth living. May all of you have a wonderful, may all of you have wonderful lives ahead. And I'm sure you will look back and say, there was never a better time to have been born in this country. Thank you.